So you want to play Monster Hunter, but you really don't want to hunt monsters. Is that even possible? That's what we're here to find out. Monster Hunter has typically always let you send an SOS flare to ask for help on certain missions, and in Monster Hunter Wilds you still can and other players will answer. However, if you're offline, or if players aren't answering anytime soon, then NPCs will instead come in to help you on the hunt. But can they do it alone? Let's take a look. Okay, so I've already recorded all this to try it out, so enjoy some commentary over the top. I wanted to start with something easy. So the Chatacabra is the first monster you actually fight in this game, so it is by far the easiest and simplest one to do, where I could just bring them along and try it out. So off I went to actually go and hunt this monster, with the intention of not pulling my weapon, if that was possible at all. Here he is, a lovely boy. So first things first, we send out the SOS flare. Immediately, because I'm offline, 3 NPC hunters join right away. I spent a minute hanging out with this cool guy until they actually finally decided to show up. Here they are now, isn't that lovely? I set off the flash flies to try and sort of trigger the monster a little bit, but all he really did was got mad at those poor little guys over there instead, and these lot didn't care in the slightest. So that was cool. He just didn't bother. You know, I was walking around and he didn't seem that angry. Seemed like a nice enough guy, to be honest. But I don't think these other hunters were going to start this without me. So trigger an attack, and then I could sort of get out of there, and the hunters would then actually take part in the fight. And now I was just hoping I could sit back and watch the fight happen. Now, I'm not going to make you sit through the majority of this guy flinging his tongue around and getting beaten up by some people. It went on for a little while, but not long after we hit some interesting obstacles in this experiment, we'll say. So as you can see, they're just kind of really still going at it. They're doing really well against him in terms of as any players would, to be honest. But at this point they stopped fighting, which I didn't know why. The monster was still angry, everything was still engaged, but they just all unanimously gave up. They didn't continue fighting again. Like, I waited around, nothing. The monster was just flailing about. Eventually I, tried to deal 1 point of damage here, and nothing. Like, they didn't care, they didn't react. Still just swinging that tongue around. And then, I tried a bit more damage, still nothing. They were just watching as well, like it was their turn to just watch. But after a large amount of damage, they all eagerly dived back in. So it seems they just gave up after a certain point and then needed me to kind of push the monster to the next stage of damage, I guess. And then they just stopped again a little later on here, so we all just watched him be trapped in this shock. So that was a nice bonding activity. And then he began to leave and run away to the next area, so we followed. He led us outside to the plains. Immediately there was a vine trap, so I pulled that down. One of the hunters had the gall to say, "Hit it with everything!" and then proceeded to hit it with absolutely nothing until I would again trigger it. So off they went, my loyal companions. So this fight continued on once again, as we've already seen, but at this point again, the hunters just stopped the fight once more, so I had to go ahead and do some damage once more to keep them at it. So it's not a completely idle situation. I mean, you have to follow the monster around anyway, so it's not idle anyway. But it makes sense that you can't just have them do it for you. Now, at this point, the monster was finally injured to the point of limping, so it left now to go to its final area where we followed along, back into the canyons, but then the Shugama turned up, so that was unfortunate for the monster, but fortunate for me, because it means I don't have to lift my weapon for a bit longer. But off it went again to run away from that monster, and we followed once more through the canyons again, back out into the desert, where it stopped for its kind of final location, just outside on the sands. So once again, we got here. My team eventually caught up and arrived. They took their time about that, but you know, they weren't getting involved until I had to do something once more. So shoot it in the face, and then just kind of wait and see now, I guess, because he's really hurt. So I was thinking this was going to be it, and left them to it. So the fight continued on for a little bit longer, and I was just really quite leisurely watching this unfold still. And then we hit a point where once more they stopped fighting him. So again, I fired one shot, and yep, that was it. That was the killing blow. It's just a slingshot. So I can only assume they had given up with very little health left. And that was it. That was the quest complete. As I mentioned, that being quite a simple monster, it was about 13.5 minutes for them to kind of do it themselves. But I wanted to try something a little more difficult, or a little more complex. And so this is 2 Hirabamis, which I set off immediately to go and try out instead. Now, there they are, down in the Wounded Hollow. So call in my friends once again, and they were a lot more eager this time to go and jump into it, literally. But I wanted to see if I could try and trigger it from up here. But the damage wasn't really registering or doing anything, so they wouldn't do it. I just had to get down there myself. And yeah, once again, wouldn't do anything until I triggered some damage, and then they were off. And this one I was quite interested to see how they handled it, because this is 2 mostly airborne creatures, and you know, just 2 creatures anyway. I wanted to see if they would be able to cope properly, because they handled the first monster very well, but with this it was a little bit of a step up. So once again, I just watched on the sidelines as I do, and every time they would give it a break, I'd send another shot in and just kind of keep the engagement there going. Pull this gate up so I can just, you know, chill out on this side of things, nice and safe, leave them to it, or at least for a little bit. I at some point I felt guilty, so I thought I might as well come over there and watch from this side. Not get involved, of course, but you know, just watch. Moral support and all that. But they continued to fight. They used a flash here, which had a nice little synchronized moment for the monsters. That was very lovely. Yeah, this just went as you would expect now with it. Obviously, with this arena as a area for the hunt, the monsters aren't moving to another area, so there's no following them around. So it's purely just battle. They stop fighting, I fire a shot, they continue fighting, and then on. I did pull this gate up, and one Hirabami really was not happy with me, which was kind of rude. I hadn't done anything to him personally, you know, it was all them, not me, so don't know what its problem was. But yeah, off they went, continued fighting, and this stayed up for a while. As you can see now, the day has gotten later, so you know, time is passing here in the game. We had a nice another synchronized moment here, which is lovely once again. But yeah, we got to a point again where I fired a shot, and it just killed one of them because they were just that point of hell. Which was interesting that that's happened again. And so with the other final monster, they continued to wear it down. And once again, once I was over here, just, you know, just taking what I needed from the other monster while they got on with it. Don't worry about me. But that hurt. Once I fired a final shot to get that engagement, it killed it again. So I assume that the hunters will stop when the monster is, you know, one shot away, so that you have the killing blow, or a player has the killing blow. They will not do that themselves. So The NPCs will not kill a monster for you. They will do a lot of fighting, but they will not do it all for you. You have to still keep an engagement going, and they're not going to do the killing blow for you. So don't be lazy, I guess, is what I've learned from this. Will I continue to be lazy? Yes. Yes, I will. But don't. But do. But don't.